sabe quanto um programador vai poder ganhar por mês em 2025? Então acompanhe.
Last name.
Muito boa noite. Esperar a galera entrar aí. Bom, boa noite para quem não me conhece. Meu nome é João Pedro. Eu sou estudante de ciência da computação, atualmente no quinto semestre. E o objetivo aqui com as lives é estar criando uma espécie de diário até eu conseguir meu estágio como desenvolvedor back-end na área da programação. Hoje é o dia 26, estamos aí perto de completar um mês fazendo live. E aqui nas lives eu mostro meus estudos, meus futuros projetos e alguns cursos que eu estou fazendo. A gente está seguindo também esse roadmap SH. Atualmente a gente começou ontem a ver banco de dados relacionais e a gente achou um cursozinho aqui no YouTube de MySQL que o cara dá praticamente tudo aí. E eu já vi até mais ou menos join, de join pra frente eu não sei. E a gente vai fazer aqui esse curso e depois vamos aplicar de alguma forma. Bom, hoje não vou poder enrolar muito, então vamos logo começar.
Plankton.
Deixa assim mesmo.
But we will not insert an hourly rate of pay or a higher date. Here's what will happen. So we have an error. Column count doesn't match the value at count at row 1. We're missing data for our hourly pay and hire date. You could insert just select columns. That is done by adding after the name of the table.
O que ele fez foi adicionar isso aqui não com todos os parâmetros, né? Ele dá o erro. You have an error in your SQL syntax. Você tem um erro na sua sintaxe do SQL. Cheque manual para do que corresponde para uma SQL Server e a versão. Aí ele até colocou aqui os parâmetros. E é porque a gente não colocou todos, né?
Add a set of parentheses. Then name the columns you would like to insert data into. All we're adding is an employee ID, first name, then last name. Okay, now we've inserted a new employee, but there is data missing, and that's okay. We plan on hiring Mr. Plankton, but we have not yet negotiated an hourly pay or start date. We still need to run a background check, but we have not yet negotiated an hourly pay or start date. We still need to run a background check on him, but we want to add him to the system at least. So if we still even last name data into, all we're adding is an employee ID.
Ah, tá. Porque a gente pode especificar os parâmetros que a gente quer passar, né? No caso aqui seria só o ID,
First name, then last name.
primeiro nome e o último nome.
Okay, now we've inserted a
Agora ele funciona.
new employee, but there is data missing, and that's okay.
Tô usando outro banco, eu acho.
We plan on hiring Mr. Plankton, but we have not yet negotiated an hourly pay or start date. We still need to run a background check on him, but we want to add him to the system at least. So if you ever need to insert data into a row, but you need to omit certain columns, you can simply just list the name of the columns you would like to insert data into. Alright everybody, that is how to insert rows into a table in MySQL.
Você vai gastar pra eu aprender programação?
Vamos lá. Não existe almoço grátis. Não é que eu vou gastar, não é que eu vou
Pô,
pagar
esses
pra
caras são foda,
Hey
velho.
everybody, in this video I'm going to show you how we can select data from a table. To query all of the data from a table, we would type select asterisk, meaning all, from the name of the table. In my case, we have table employees. This statement, select all from employees, will give me all columns and all rows. But sometimes you may not want all of the data. Here's a scenario. Your boss gives you a task of retrieving the full name of every employee. Well, we don't need employee ID, hourly pay, or hire date for that, right? We just need a list of the first and last names of our employees table. In place of the asterisk, meaning all, we can select specific columns, such as first name and last name. We have all of the first and last names from our employees table. You can change up the order of the columns too. This time I would like last name, then first name.
Já selecionei o banco, acho que não é isso.
This time I would like last name. You can change up
Não é possível que seja. Como assim não existe, velho? Ah, tá. Esqueci um S aqui. Acontece.
the order of the columns too. This time I would like last name, then first name. With our query, this returned all of the last and first names of all the employees. Point being, you can select specific columns depending on what you're looking for, or everything with the asterisk. There is a clause known as the where clause if we're looking for something specific. Let's add where. Then what are we looking for exactly? We can write some criteria. Let's select all from employees where employee ID equals 1. Then end your statement with a semicolon. This will give us a specific employee, the employee that has an ID
Só
of
o
1.
primeiro.
If I set employee ID to be 2,
Tem
that would
dois
give
aqui.
us Squidward. 3 would be SpongeBob.
Deixa eu ver se eu consigo dar um delete. Do jeito que eu lembro. Um drop, na verdade. Eu não lembro se pra alterar as linhas é com drop. Se pá, ele mostra aí.
SpongeBob. 4, Patrick. I think you get the idea. Here's an exercise. Let's find all the data from employees where the first name equals SpongeBob. Where first name equals SpongeBob. This query will return employee ID 3, the first name, last name, hourly pay, and hire date. Here's another example. Let's find all employees that have an hourly pay greater than or equal to 15. Our criteria will be where hourly pay is greater than, we'll use the greater than operator, or equal to 15. This returns 3 employees, Mr. Krabs, Squidward, and Sandy. All three of them have an hourly pay of $15 per hour or greater. It is possible your query can return multiple results. Let's find anybody that has a hire date less than or equal to perhaps the year 2023, January 3rd. This query returns two results, Eugene Krabs and Squidward Tentacles. They both match this criteria. And in this case, we used the less than or equals to operator. Another operator you should know about is the not comparison operator. It's an exclamation point and an equal sign. We will check if something is not equal. Let's find where employee ID does not equal 1. Who are all the employees that have an ID not equal to 1? That gives us Squidward, SpongeBob, Patrick, Sandy, and Plankton. On the other hand, if I set this to 1, that would give us Mr. Krabs. That is the not comparison operator, if you need to check if something is not equal. In this next example, let's pretend that we're human resources. We need to find any employees that do not have a hire date, and then begin the paperwork for them.
Hire date
Currently,
igual a null, né?
Plankton's hourly pay and hire date are both set to
Seria
null.
tipo,
Null meaning no value. In place of saying, hire date equals null, in place of using the equal sign, we would type is. Select all from employees
is null.
where hire date is null. That would return Sheldon Plankton, because his hire date is null. Not equals null, that doesn't work. It would is null. Not Sheldon Plankton.
Ah, tá. Tem duas formas, né? Ou hard date, sim. Não tem ninguém com hard date. Ah, tá, entendi. Ele tá retornando aqui quem tem a data de demissão igual a do nulo, que no caso aqui é a Sandy e o Sheldon, né? Só que aí por que ele não retornou.
Because his hire date is null. Not equals null, that does
I is null. Seria só se a data.
doesn't work. It would be is null. You could even say is not null.
Pera aí, então o igual não funciona, é isso? Pra esse caso? E aí ele vai me retornar quem tem, né? Aí deixa quando.
That would return every employee that does have a hire date. Alright everybody, so that is how to query data from a table. Select whatever you're looking for. It can be everything or specific columns from a table of your choosing where the results equal some criteria that you set. It really depends on what you're looking for. and that is how to query data from a table. Hey everybody, in this video I'm going to show you how we can update and delete data from a table. In my example, we have a table of employees. However, Sheldon Plankton is missing some information, an hourly pay and a hire date. Let's update those fields. To update some data in a table, we would use the update keyword, the name of the table, employees in my example, then set which column would we like to interact with first. Let's interact with hourly pay. Set hourly pay. Let's pay Plankton $10.25 per hour. We should probably add a where clause. I need to specifically select Plankton. Where? Let's select his employee ID. Where employee ID equals 6. Then semicolon to end the statement. You could also select Plankton by his first name or last name as well. When I execute the script, Plankton's hourly pay is now...
Tinha também o update, né? Mas o update é pra atualizar. Mas eu acho que dá no mesmo. Não sei. Eu acho que dá no mesmo. Ah, tá. Ele usou o update. Eu esqueci de colocar no corpo. Tô usando Safe Update Mode. Como é que tá ativa? Set SQL Safe Updates 0. Assim. É. Updates, né? Pronto, agora pá tá prestando. Beleza. Setou Hourly Pay 10,25. Quanto é que tava antes, hein?
$10.20
Ah, não tinha nada.
or last name as well. When I execute the script, Plankton's hourly pay is now $10.25 per hour. To update multiple columns, you can change more than one field at once. After your first change, you can add a comma, then change another field. Let's change Plankton's hire date to be the following. Hire date equals 1023-0-07. I'll make his hourly pay $10.50. I'm feeling generous. Here we are. Plankton's hourly pay is now $10.50. His hire date is January 7th, 2023. To set a field to null, meaning no value, you would just say equals null. For example, let's take Plankton's hire date, set the hire date equal to null. Plankton's hire date is now null. So maybe we're gonna fire him or something. In this next example, I'll give you a demonstration, but you don't want to follow along. To update all of the rows within a column, you would exclude the where clause. If I were to set hourly pay equal to 1025, that would affect all of the rows. After executing this statement, the hourly pay for everybody is now 1025. That's an example of how you could set a column to be one consistent value. To delete a row from a table, you would type delete from the name of the table. Now don't write just the
Isso aqui que eu
statement.
queria. Delete from employees. Eu tenho que eliminar onde o ID for 1. Só que eu vou eliminar os dois, né? Aí eu adiciono de novo. Vou tentar fazer isso. Delete from employees. Where ID igual a 1. Employee ID, né? Deletei os dois.
It will delete all rows in your table. Here's an
Putz, velho, que
example.
vacilo. Não era pra eu ter feito isso, não. Era pra ter deletado pelo nome.
Do not do
Que eu
this.
deletava só um.
I will delete from employees. There, my whole table is gone. Do not do this. Be sure to add a where clause when deleting from a table. Otherwise, this will delete all your rows. Where employee ID equals 6. Yep, and Plankton is no longer there. Alright everybody, that is a super quick video on how to update and delete data from a table. Hey everybody, in this topic I'm going to explain auto commit, commit, and rollback. Auto commit is a mode. By default, auto commit is set to on. Whenever you execute a transaction within MySQL, that transaction is saved. What if we were to make a transaction and we need to undo that transaction? For example, what if we accidentally delete all of the rows of this table? Don't do what I do, but I'll give you a demonstration. I accidentally type in delete from employees, but I forget to add a where clause. Well, all my rows are now gone. How do I undo these changes? Well, what we're going to do is set auto commit to equal off. With this setting set to off, our transactions will not save automatically. We would need to manually save each transaction. It creates a save point, so to say. I'm going to create a save point by typing commit.
Auto commit.
I'm going to create a save point by typing commit, then execute. Now I'm going to select my table, select all from the name of my table. Then I'm going to go ahead and delete all the rows. Delete from employees. Oh shoot, but I forgot to add a where clause. My whole table is gone now. Luckily, we created a save point with that commit statement. To undo these changes, I can execute the rollback statement.
Rollback.
This will restore my current transaction back to the previous save point, where we used commit. Now, if I were to select all from the name of my table, our table is back to what it previously was. And again, to save any changes, let's say I delete my whole table again, delete from employees. If I want to save this change, I would commit. Then again, I will select my table. And that last change is now saved. My whole table is gone. So yeah, that is auto commit, commit, and rollback. By default, auto commit is set to be on. Any transactions after executing are saved. If that mode is set to off, you can commit any changes manually. To undo any changes, use that rollback statement. So yeah, that is auto commit, commit, and rollback in MySQL. Hey everybody, in this topic I have a super quick video on getting the current date and time in MySQL. Let's create a temporary table. At the end of this topic we'll delete it. Create table. I'll name this table test. We will have 3 columns. The current date, I'll name the column my date. The data type is date. My time, the data type is time. Then we'll combine both. My date time, the data type is date time. Let's create this table. It was created successfully. Then I will select all from our table. Test. We have 3 columns. A date, a time, and a date time, which combines both. So how do we get the current date? Maybe we need to create a timestamp of when some event happened. Maybe a hire date for our employees. So I'm going to insert into the name of my table, test, some values. For the current date, there's a built-in function, current underscore date, then add a set of parentheses. This function will return the current date. For the current time, there is a current time function. Add a set of parentheses to the end of that function. For the date time, you could just say now, then add a set of parentheses. After inserting this row, let's select all from our table test.
Massa.
Here's the current date of me filming this video. October 21st, 2022. The time is 7 in the morning. The current date time is October 21st, 2022, 7 in the morning. A date time would probably be good for some sort of transaction you need to record. For the time being, I'm going to set the current time to be null, as well as the date time to be null. Now, if you were to take your current date, then add +1, this part of my statement would refer to tomorrow, October 22nd. If you were to take your current date -1, that would technically be yesterday, October 20th. You could do something similar with your time and date time. You can add or subtract seconds, but I think that's pretty self-explanatory. We don't need this test table anymore, so we can
Ele
delete
colocou
it.
tudo date,
Hey everybody, in this, let's create
date
then
time
type successfully.
e date
Then I
time.
will select a date we need to, so I'm going to insert built-in now at the current date of me in the morning. The null statement would refer to tomorrow, October 22nd. If you were to take your current date -1, that would technically be yesterday, October 20th. You could do something similar with your time and date time. You can add or subtract seconds, but I think that's pretty self-explanatory. We don't need this test table anymore, so we can delete it.
I drop, né? Bora pra cima. Bora, João Vitor. Tamo indo.
Drop table test. And it's gone. All right, everybody, so that was a super quick topic, but I thought I needed to cover it. That is how to get the current date, time, and date time in MySQL.
O CS50 de Harvard é um dos cursos de programação mais renomados do mundo, tanto por oferecer uma
Hey everybody, I have a quick video on the unique constraint. The unique constraint ensures that all values in a column are all different. That's basically it. We can add this constraint when we create a table or after. Let's create a new table. Create table. Let's create a table of products. What products do we offer? We'll list the columns. Let's add a product ID. The data type will be int.
Primary key.
Product name. The data type will be varchar, maybe 25 characters. Then a price. Price. The data type will be decimal. Our price will have a max size of 4 digits and a precision of 2 decimal places. To add the unique constraint, select a column. After the data type, add the keyword unique. And that's all you have to do. With
Não,
this
ele não vai
keyword
deixar
unique,
ninguém ter o ID igual.
we can't insert any product names that are the same. They all have to be, well, unique. Let's create this table. Let's say that you forget the unique keyword, and then you create the table. What you could do instead
Aí dá pra dar um update.
is type alter
Alter
table, the name of the table, products, which we just created, add constraint, unique, add instead, get the unique keyword.
Bora dar um drop na tabela pra fazer que nem ele. Tira o unique.
Then you create the table. What you could do instead is type alter table, the name of the table, products, which we just created, add constraint, unique, the name of the column within parentheses, product name. If you forget to add a unique constraint to a column after you already create the table, this is what you can write. However, when I run this, I do have a warning. I already have a unique constraint on that column. But yeah, that's how you would add a unique constraint to a column in a table you have already created. Let's select our table. Select all from products. We have a product ID column, product name, and a price. Let's insert all of our values. Insert into the name of our table, which is products, values. We'll insert maybe 4 rows. We'll need a product ID, name, then a price. For a product name, we have a hamburger, and the product ID, I'm just making up a number, is 100. The name is hamburger. The price will be $3.99. Fries will be our next item. Then we have fries. The price will be $1.89. 102 will be soda. The price is $1 even. 103 will be ice cream. The price will be $1.49. Let's test the unique constraint that we have added to the product name column. Suppose that I forget that I have fries on the menu already, and I will add another row.
Pera aí, antes dele setar isso aí, vamos ver how... Alter table, né? Ele tinha acabado de fazer. Ah, é 4-2. Talvez seja isso. Dale. Foi embaixo, né? Aí ele vai dar... Vai dar erro não, vai apontar que não pode. Que tá como uniquai. Duplicate entry fries for key products.
104, fries 189. Actually, let me change the price to maybe something different, like 175. Here's what happens when I attempt to add two values that are the same. Duplicate entry fries for key products dot product name.
Mas por que que ele olhou só pro nome, velho?
Is telling us that we have a duplicate under the product name column. We have fries twice. Since we added the unique constraint, all values in this column
Ah,
must
ele olhou pro fries porque tá todo mundo diferente, mas eu adicionei dois IDs e não sei se é porque não dá pra ver. Mas como o meu ID é uniquai, não tá como uniquai não. Ou é porque não dá pra ver?
if I were to remove the last column where we have that duplicate, well, then this would run just fine. Now,
É, ele não tá aceitando não. Então tava Uniquai. Só que aqui não mostra.
Now let's select everything from products. Yeah, there we go. Here are the products. We have a hamburger, fries, soda, and ice cream all on the menu. So yeah, that's the unique constraint. You can add that constraint when you create a table or after. Whatever column has that unique constraint, all the values need to be different. So yeah, that's the unique constraint in MySQL. Hey everybody, in this topic I'm going to explain the not null constraint. The not null constraint can be added to a column when you create a table. Whenever we enter a new row, the value within that column can't be null. For example, I have table products. We have a hamburger, fries, soda, ice cream. If I were to recreate this table, I would type something like this. Create table products. I would list the columns. We have product ID. The data type is integer. Product name. The data type is varchar. I believe I set this to be 25 last time. Then price. That is a decimal. We gave this column a max size of 4 digits and a precision of 2. Any column that I do not want to have null values, I will simply just add not null. This is a constraint. Now I've already created this table, so I'm not going to execute this statement, but that's how you would create a table that has the not null constraint. After the column name, you just type not null. To add the not null constraint to a table that already exists, you would instead type alter table, the name of the table, modify the name of the column, the data type of the column, in this case decimal, for comma 2, then not null. It's a little bit different than the unique constraint in the last topic. So let's execute this statement. That seemed to work. Let's add a new item to the menu. I will select everything from my products table. Select from products. Let's add a new item.
Como não existe, cara? Eu não dropei a tabela? Tá aqui, ó. Ah, Products, eu botei. Aí tá aqui o...
Item to the menu. And we will test that not null constraint. Insert into products values. We have 104. Product ID 104 will be, how about a cookie? I'm not going to set a price. I will say null for the price. Maybe I'm not decided on what the price is yet. After executing the statement, well, we have an error. Column price cannot be null. Since we set that not null constraint on the product price, we can't enter a null value. We could set this to be 0. That's acceptable, but it can't be null. So yeah, everybody, that's the not null constraint. It's a useful constraint to verify input. If there's any column that you don't want to have any null values, just add that constraint. And yeah, that is the not null constraint in MySQL. Hey everybody, in this topic I'm going to explain the check constraint. The check constraint is used to limit what values can be placed in a column. For example, I live in the United States. Depending on which state you live in, there is a minimum hourly wage that employers have to pay. In this example, let's set an hourly pay to our employees table. Every employee needs to be paid at least the minimum wage in that region. And we can do that with the check constraint. We have our table of employees. If I were to recreate this table, it would look like this. I think that was pretty close. To add a check to a column at the end of our table, this is what we would write. Check. Then within parentheses, what sort of condition do we want? Let's check to see if our hourly pay column is greater than or equal to maybe $10 per hour. That will be the minimum wage in this region. This would work if we were to create this table. However, it's typically a good idea to give your check a name, just in case you need to drop it later. You can easily identify it. So precede.
O DLT é employees, eu acho que sim. Não.
To check with constraint, then a constraint name. What about CHK, meaning check underscore hourly pay? This check will be known as check hourly pay, so we can identify it. Then we can drop it or make any changes to it if we need to. I do already have an employees table, so I'm not going to execute this statement, but to add a check constraint to a table, you would just add a row like this to the bottom. If you instead need to add a check constraint to a table that already exists, this would be the syntax. Alter table, the name of the table, add constraint. Then we need a unique name for this constraint. Check hourly pay. That's fine. Then the check within parentheses. Hourly pay is greater than or equal to 10. $10 per hour. Okay, let's run this. Yeah, that appears to have worked. I'm going to... Okay, let's run this. Yeah, that appears to have worked. I'm going to
Ah, eu dropei employees. Putz. Então a gente faz isso aqui.
select all from employees. Let's take a look at our table. Then we will attempt to add a new employee. Insert into employees values We need an employee ID, first name, last name, hourly pay, then a hire date. Employee ID will be 6. First name, Sheldon Plankton. For hourly pay, let's attempt to pay Plankton maybe $5 per hour. Then a hire date, 2023-01-07. Let's see if that check constraint kicks in. We're paying Plankton under $10 per hour. Yeah, it doesn't appear that we can do so. Check constraint, check hourly pay is violated. Now let's pay Plankton $10 per hour. Yeah, that worked just fine. If you need to delete a check, you would type alter table, the name of the table, drop check, then the name that you gave that check. In my case, it was check hourly pay. And that check has been dropped. Yeah, everybody, that is the check constraint. It's used to limit what values can be placed in a column. It's another useful method for checking input. And that is the check constraint in MySQL. Hey everybody, in this topic I'm
Jonathan de Angelis. Fala, mano, beleza? Me explica como você separa o seu conteúdo para estudar no dia a dia, desde o básico ao avançado. Cara, assim, no dia eu tenho que estudar, então as lives eu faço mais à noite. No momento eu tô fazendo a média de 1h10 de live. Então, pra live, eu sigo esse roadmap aqui, ó, que eu achei. Que ele te dá uma organizada, mas tu pode ir pegando um conteúdo de acordo com o que tu acha que tu tá precisando mais aprender. Tanto que eu fiz aqui, eu comecei estudando internet, né? O basicão, teórico, protocolos, como é que a internet funciona, como é que manda pacotes, teórico mesmo. Aí depois ele passa pra GitHub. Aí depois aqui ele já vem pra banco de dados. Só que relacionais, no caso, que é o que a gente tá agora. Só que eu decidi que ia passar, antes de banco de dados, dar uma olhada em estrutura de dados. Eu vou ficar intercalando. Porque estrutura de dados foi uma matéria que eu acho, é uma matéria que eu sinto que eu tenho dificuldade. Então eu tô voltando agora pra ver. E aí eu tenho que dividir também entre as matérias da faculdade, que eu já tô no quinto semestre, né? Então tem mais coisa mais difícil, coisa mais avançada. E aí eu tenho que ficar intercalando nisso. Mas o roadmap me ajuda muito.
going to explain the default constraint when inserting a new row. If we do not specify a value for a column, by default, we can add some value that we set. Here's an example. Let's select all from our products table. Select all from products. In an earlier example, we have a table of products. A few items on the menu for sale are hamburgers, fries, soda, and ice cream. Let's add a few items on the menu that would be free. This could include napkins, straws, forks, and spoons, something you would commonly see at a fast food restaurant. If we're not using the default constraint, we would have to enter in those prices manually. So let's insert into our table products our values. Product ID 104 will be a straw. The price will be $0.00. Let's do this all together. We have 105, 106, 107. Product number 105 will be a napkin. The napkin is $0.00. 106 is a plastic fork. Again, $0.00. 107 is a plastic spoon. The price is $0.00. Then I will select all from my products table. Here's our new products table. We have our 4 items that actually cost something, then our free items, which are included with whatever we buy. In place of explicitly stating a price, one way in which we can make our lives easier, if we're adding a bunch of free items to the menu, we could set a default constraint where if we don't explicitly set a price, the price will default to be 0, it will be free. So I'm going to undo everything that we just did. Delete from products where product ID is greater than or equal to 104. And then we can execute that statement. If we were recreating this table with the default constraint, if we were recreating this table, and then we can execute that statement. If we were recreating this table with the default constraint, we would type create table, the name of the table, products in this case. At our columns, we have a product ID. The data type is integer. We have a product name. The data type is varchar, and I forgot what the size was. Looks like 25. Then a price, which is a decimal, max digit size of 4, precision of 2. Now let's use the default constraint. After the column you would like to add that constraint to, type default, then some value. I will set the default value to be $0.00. Or you could just say 0 too, that'd be fine. You would just add this constraint when creating a new table. However, I do already have a products table, so this technically wouldn't work because that table already exists. Now to alter a table to include that constraint, you would instead type alter table, the name of the table, alter the name of the column, price, set, default constraint, then the value, so 0. And that appears to have worked. Let's select our products table, select all from products, then we will insert some new rows. Insert into products, then our values. So we had 4 rows. $104. That was a straw. 105 was a napkin. 106 was a fork. 107 is a spoon. Then finish the statement with a semicolon. So since we set that default constraint, we don't need to explicitly list the price. But we are missing one thing though. When I execute this statement, the column count doesn't match. So when we insert into products, we will list what we're inserting explicitly, the product ID and the product name. After our table name, within parentheses, type product ID, then product name. Now this should work. Yeah, and here's our products table. With our 4 inserts, all of the prices were set to 0, and we did not need to explicitly state that this time. If you don't specify a value, you'll use whatever the default is. Here's another example. I think you'll like this one. Let's say we have a table of transactions. After inserting a new transaction, we will insert a timestamp of when that transaction took place.
Começa a join lá pra metade do curso. Pô, bacana esse curso aqui, de graça, tá? No YouTube. Quem quiser ir aprender SQL, bom demais. Deu pra revisar até aqui eu sei, até join, até o comecinho de join. Daí pra frente eu não sei mais.
And that timestamp will be the default. Create table transactions. At the end of this topic, we will delete this table, so don't get too attached to it. We will have 3 columns. Transaction ID, which will be of the data type integer. A transaction amount, let's just say amount. The data type will be decimal. 5 digits, precision of 2 is good. Then a transaction date. The data type will be date. Actually, let's make this date time. I'd like to include the time of when this transaction happened. Now for the default constraint, after the date time, let's add default, then the now function. We don't need to explicitly add the date and time. That will be done automatically, which is kind of cool. So I'm going to create this table. Let's select all from transactions. If we're going to insert some values, we'll need at least a transaction ID and amount. The transaction date will be included automatically. So let's insert into transactions some values. Let's do one at a time. The first transaction of the day will have a transaction ID of 1, I suppose. A customer came in and bought a hamburger and a soda for a total of $4.99. Then we do need to list the transaction ID, then the amount. After our table name, add transaction ID, then amount. So let's run this. Yeah, cool. So there's our transaction ID. This was order number 1. The total amount was $4.99. And we do have a timestamp of when this transaction occurred. So the second order of the day will be for a total of $2.89. And that happened at this time. Then the third order of the day will have a total price of $8.37. Yep, there we are. So we don't need this table anymore. I'm going to drop table train.
Eu vou ver o que é que tem mais aqui. MariaDB, mais MS SQL. Microsoft SQL Server. Ah, o SQL Server. Sabia que era da Microsoft. SQLite, Oracle. Por que o Postgres está separado aqui, velho? Bom, hoje foi 1 horinha aí de live. Continuamos só o curso aqui de MySQL, que a gente achou aqui no roadmap. A gente está seguindo esse roadmap aqui, de back-end. Estamos vendo aqui e começamos banco de dados, no caso relacionais por enquanto, MySQL. Workbench, obrigado aí para quem assistiu. Amanhã espero que consiga fazer mais uma live, fazer o 27º dia. Estamos perto aí de completar 30 dias. Obrigado para quem assistiu e até